We are talking All-Star break baseball and how teams have done this so far this year, how they'll look at the second half. And let's go to the National League Central, where again it's a four-team scramble for playoff berths. I know Milwaukee is far ahead, but you know Cubs are only what, 5 games out. The Cardinals, they seem to have survived uh, a mini slump, and you've got Pittsburgh that's playing good ball right now.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you. I don't think it's a four-team race. I think it's a two-team race. Right now, the standings are Milwaukee by 5 over the Cubs. The Cubs are the leaders in the wild card as of right now. St. Louis is 8.5 back, Pittsburgh 9.5 back,
Yeah,
and
but in
Cincinnati is.
terms of playoffs, these they definitely look like playoff contenders. I don't think they'd be able to catch the Brewers.
Well, yeah, as Tom succinctly said, with the wild card, you're almost everybody's in it until at least September. So, I guess from that standpoint, I guess you could say that's true. Cincinnati, I think, has already been eliminated from next year's race also. Let's go down the individual teams. Milwaukee, which I think started the All-Star break about 5 days ago because they got swept by Pittsburgh and looked terrible in all 4 games, including getting swept in a doubleheader yesterday or 2 days ago. But they are still the best team in the division. I don't think there's any question. They have their manager. I deal with all the managers in both leagues because having two teams in town. Pat Murphy's got to be one of my favorites. He's just a stitch to deal with, and I love when somebody is new into his clubhouse or into his manager's office, because if he doesn't recognize somebody, he goes out of his way to say, "Okay, introduce yourself and tell me about yourself." That's really unusual, especially from the years that I broke in many moons ago. But Milwaukee's got the Cy Young Award leader at the moment. I don't think there's any question that Jacob Mizorowski is by far and away. And I'm taking into consideration Ohtani still is a great pitcher, but he's missed too much time. And Mizorowski is averaging well over a strikeout an inning, and his strikeout to walks ratio is 6-1. That's pretty amazing in itself. He's got 167 strikeouts in 111 innings. He's not going to get, they're still careful with his arm, I mean, yes, he pitched into the ninth inning a couple of times, but basically, if Milwaukee's got the lead in the sixth inning, he's out of the game. They're still protecting him. Brandon Woodruff has got 9 wins. I didn't know this until I looked at this earlier today, Dave. Aaron Ashby's got 12 wins in relief. I mean, I had to check that 2 or 3 times, but he does. And, he reminds me of Phil Regan. Remember what Phil Regan's nickname
The
was?
Vulture, yeah, 14 and
The
1 for the
Vulture.
66
He
Dodgers.
just passed
That's
away
right.
this
So
week.
I mean, Aaron Ashby is the latest vulture in Major League Baseball. He's got 12 wins in relief. I still got to check that even again. It's just I find that hard to believe. Anyway, offensively, Bryce Terang is good. William Contreras is having a good season. Every time I see Jake Bauers, he's driving in runs. Jackson Cherio is a power hitter who's really good, and even Christian Yelich from memory sometimes is productive. They got Trevor McGill in the bullpen. I think they're going to beef up their bullpen a little bit before all is said and done. But right now, like I said, in spite of being terrible this weekend against Pittsburgh, they're still the class of the division. Now, the Cubs, who are a wild card leader at the moment, and I think they will be a wild card team when it's all said and done, they've got to be one of the weirdest teams in baseball. What other team in Major League history, recent vintage, has had both two 10-game win streaks and a 10-game losing streak in the first 95 games of the season? That's, I think, unprecedented. Pete Crow Armstrong has been really good, especially lately. He was the player of the month in June. He's got, another 2020 season already. When it's all said and done, he'll be a 30-30, maybe even a 40-40 guy, home runs and stolen bases. And his defense is second to none. Nico Horner's been a surprise. He's really a 300 kind of hitter, but he's only hitting 230 at the moment. Alex Bregman has been good the last 4 or 5 days, but previous to that, he's almost been the invisible man in Major League Baseball. And the Cubs are praying. Not only is he productive in the second half, but really for the next 4+ years, because he's got 37 million coming to him for the next 4.5 years. So
Yeah.
they're praying that he is productive. The amazing part about the Cubs, and I'm there almost every day, is that they lost their entire pitching staff, starting pitching staff at one point. Cade Horton, who was going to be the young up and comer from last year going into this year, he's not going to pitch all year because of Tommy John surgery. Justin Steele is coming off Tommy John. He hasn't pitched yet. They're hoping that he'll be back sometime, maybe the tail end of this month, if not August. So they've been really like, stitching it together. And it's amazing if you listen to talk radio, and I try not to real anymore in Chicago. They want to fire Craig Counsell every other day. And yet he's got them in position with all the injuries to his pitching staff to be at least a wild card team. So I think he deserves some credit, even though, he's been ripped, what, left and right. St. Louis, I think, is a year ahead of schedule. They have a lot of young players. And I don't think they really thought they would do that much this season, but they have an incredibly young player in Jordan Walker. He's got 22 homers and 74 RBIs at the break. He's got probably the best arm I've seen from the outfield in the last maybe 30 years. He reminds me of Clemente when he gets the ball in the corner. He can throw to third base. On a line. He threw out two guys at home in a recent series against the Cubs. He's really an incredible player. They got other young players, Alec Burleson. They got J.J. Weather Holt. He's also pretty good.
Oh boy, is he.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, the Cardinals were always good with young players, and then the last couple of years it sort of slacked off. And I think they're starting to rebuild their minor league system again. Andre Palante, I think I pronounced that correctly. He's got 10 wins. Riley O'Brien's got 24 saves. If the Cardinals fall out of it any further, maybe over the next, 3 weeks until the deadline. He might be had by some team that needs a closer, but for right now, I think he stays. Pittsburgh's got a lot of young hitters who can hit the long ball. Brandon Lowe, Nick Gonzalez is over 300 right now. Connor Griffin was playing really good until he got injured recently. I think he will be the real deal. He was hitting 276 in the 59 games he played. Paul Skeens finally won a game today. He has not been what they thought he would be this season, but I'll tell you what, every time I see him, he looks really damn good. And then there's Braxton Ashcroft with 9 wins, and with the strikeout an inning also. And then there's Cincinnati, and I gotta believe that Terry Francona might be regretting coming back. He really probably thought that he had a young team in Cincinnati that would be on the uprise, but in the year and a half that he's been managing, they really have done nothing so far. They got some good young players. Obviously, Ellie De La Cruz is really good. Sale Stewart is the real deal, 19 home runs, 65 RBIs. Chase Burns is 11-1 at the All-Star break, but their next starters only got 5 wins. So the Reds have just been awful this season overall.
Well, they got off to a nice start and they were doing well until De La Cruz got hurt and then the bottom fell out.
Yeah, and it's really fallen out. And like I said, right now they're 15.5 out in the division. I don't know where they are in the wild card, but I got to believe they're not even a wild card possibility either. So, yeah, like I said, Terry Francona, and I've known him for a long time through 2 other franchises. I think he thought that, this is be a team that he could attach himself to, and they be on the rise, but they just haven't done anything since he's been at the helm.
Well, they made the playoffs last year, though, so that was already a big jump for them.
All right, then I stand corrected on that.
As a wild card team, I think getting Hunter Green back
is
going to be very helpful for them for the second half of the year. It gives them another starting pitcher. They've also had a lot of injuries throughout the first half of the season, and if they can get healthy, I don't know if they'll make the playoffs. I agree with you, Dave. I don't think they're as good as the other 4 teams there, but I don't think they'll be terrible. They're not the Mets.
I think the division will end up just the way it is right now, Dave. I think Milwaukee, which has won the division. I mean, the Cubs have spent a lot of money over the last couple of years, obviously, but, they just can't seem to get by Milwaukee. The Brewers beat them in the playoffs last year also. So I think it ends up just the way it is right now. Milwaukee over the Cubs, but the Cubs will be a wild card team. St. Louis, like I said, a year away from what I think they will be. Then Pittsburgh and then Cincinnati.